Hey guys, welcome to Blaugranas United, welcome to another video, and today it is reported by AS and Mundo Deportivo that Real Madrid are about to sign Luka Jovic for 60 million euros for a deal that's supposed to last 6 years of the contract. Now, getting into the topic at hand, I think that for one, I'm going to be very, very upset, or at least concerned, if Madrid can land this signing if it's going to be 60 million euros. If reports are to be believed. Now, with that said, I think that this is not the last that we're going to hear from Luka Jovic. I think that this is going to keep going at least for a couple of weeks. At least until Friday, after Frankfurt played that game against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge in the Europa League semi-final second leg. And all I have to say is that for me it is a very weird rumor, because yes, he was linked with Real Madrid and he was linked with Barcelona and many other clubs around Europe. But in my opinion is that for 60 million it's far too cheap. Because let me remind you that 60 million was what Barcelona were going to sign Luka Jovic in around the February-March period. So what changed? If Barcelona were interested in him, because we scouted him I think 15 times, what made us change our mind? I believe the reason was that we didn't want to go into a bidding war. But if it's 60 million euros, if Eintracht Frankfurt accepted a deal of 60 million euros, then I cannot understand Luka Jovic joining Real Madrid uncontested. And I mean uncontested, I mean Barcelona, I mean Paris Saint-Germain, I mean Bayern Munich, I mean all the big clubs around Europe that can afford this signing, and more importantly, that need a striker, that need a number 9. There is plenty of clubs around Europe in Serie A, some teams in the Premier League, even Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga, Paris Saint-Germain, I've stated before, are teams that need Luka Jovic. So that he's going for 60 million uncontested is very weird to me. It was reported a few hours before this that Real Madrid are preparing a mega signing, a mega super transfer window like they had in the 2008-09 season or the 2009-10 season after the 2008-09 season after Barcelona won the treble with Guardiola, and they signed the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo, Xabi Alonso, Kaká, and Karim Benzema, where they spent over 300 million euros. But it's very weird to me because yes, they want to spend 500 million now, but I believe Luka Jovic was going to go for a value of 70 to 80 million euros, which it would be a lot more than the thing that I would expect to happen. But for me, it is very weird that Luka Jovic is going for 60 million unless some things have happened since we last scouted Luka Jovic. And I'm going to talk as a Barcelona fan, so I'm just going to talk from the Barcelona point of view because I don't really know what's going around Chelsea, PSG, Bayern Munich. So I'm just going to talk from Barcelona's perspective and why this might be getting reported right now, and if it's really true on what's going to happen. So at first, let me begin with the fact that AS is a Real Madrid newspaper article. So they are supposed to give Real Madrid information, but to be honest, they are not the best. If you want to know Real Madrid info, you don't go to AS, you go to Marca or El Chiringuito, because transfer-wise and Real Madrid news, they are very accurate with their information. They do give the exclusive most of the time. If they have an exclusive, it's probably an accurate one. I'll give them that, although they're not my favorite newspaper article by far. Saying that, Marca just reported that Eintracht Frankfurt are interested in Mariano Diaz as a substitute for Luka Jovic after he leaves this season, but they're not saying that Real Madrid have been involved in a deal for Luka Jovic. So that's one of the flags that I want to raise. Another thing is that Barcelona, what is the reason that they're not interested in Luka Jovic anymore? Because 60 million, they were willing to offer 60 million. They have the 60 million for Luka Jovic right now. So what are the possible things that I think that would cause Barcelona to stay away from Luka Jovic? At first, it might be that in the last few couple of weeks, we got reports from Luka Jovic which say that he's maybe not as professional as he needs to be. Which, if that's the case, I'm okay with that. A player is never more important than the club, and I will be okay with us not signing Luka Jovic if that's the reason. Another reason, it might be that we have identified another player or another profile of player as our main necessity. So maybe instead of a player like Luka Jovic, who is more of a predator in the area, in the number 9 position, maybe we need a more mobile style winger-ish striker like Marcus Rashford. Maybe that's the case, although Luka Jovic, for me, I've said it, he can defend himself dribbling wise, he's good enough. His vision, I think, is still really good. I think that he could perfectly do that role, playing a little bit of the wing some of the time, and he could drop us the wing when he's needed to. But who knows, maybe we've identified a similar target, and although I think that Luka Jovic is the best player for what I think Barcelona need, it's just my opinion. I can totally be wrong. It's not an absolute truth, and they would know more than I will. So if it's that sense that they've identified another target that's more suitable for Barcelona for a similar price, then I'm okay with that. The third situation, it is that yes, he will sign for Real Madrid, but he will not sign for 60 million euros, but much rather he will sign for the 70 or 80 million euros, which is much more of what I was expecting. And if that was the case, then Barcelona have all the right to not go in for the signing and go to other targets that are not going to be placed. They're not going to be placing you in a bidding war, because that's what we didn't want to get into. That's what we starting getting away from this rumor. Same thing happened with the likes of Adrien Rabiot. He was reported to join Barcelona last summer, and he was heavily reported to join Barcelona to sign a pre-contract agreement in this winter transfer window, and yet he hasn't signed for any club yet. So if that was that heavily reported, which I thought it was actually going to become true, then I don't think that is the last we're going to see from Luka Jovic. And the last scenario that I think is I want to say most bizarre, but I think it's a possibility that could happen and could not happen. And it's the case that we've waited for another club to get an agreement out of Frankfurt for a set price and evaluate what the price is. So, like we did with Malcolm last summer, I think that getting a club to get accepted a value of maybe 60 million euros, like Real Madrid just had, if reports are to be believed, then maybe Barcelona are just waiting for that, so we can then launch a bid for 65 to 70 million euros or something around those lines, and sign Luka Jovic ourselves and try to start to negotiate. Because if we start going into a bidding war, price would keep going to 70, 80, 90, 100, and God knows how much more. So I believe in that sense, that could be one of the possible things. What do I think is the real situation? I have no idea, because it's a very difficult thing to examine. I think Barcelona, if they're not interested in Jovic, it's gonna be a very dangerous situation to go on right now, because I think he's a fantastic striker. They think the same, clearly, because they wouldn't have scouted him that much. Whether they're better targets or not, he is a fantastic striker. He will make Real Madrid a lot better. But for the same reason that I don't think he wants to join Barcelona, I would be skeptical of joining Real Madrid if I was Luka Jovic, because you're not guaranteed minutes, a lot of minutes in either team, because Zinedine Zidane has clearly proved that he's gonna trust Karim Benzema to the most of his ability. That he will play like minutes like no other, and the same thing goes with Luis Suarez. He will play most of the minutes next season. So that, I think, is gonna stop Luka Jovic's progression if that was to happen. And yes, that's what I think about Luka Jovic at the moment. It's just very weird. If he signs for 60 million and no one has jumped in to like sabotage the operation or something, it's gonna be very weird to me because he's a fantastic striker. Now, what does that leave Barcelona? That leads me to think that if we're not interested in Luka Jovic, we're interested in the likes of Rashford. That there is something in the rumors linking Barcelona with Antoine Griezmann, which, in my opinion, there are two players right now that I do not want Barcelona to sign ever. That I don't want them to wear a Barcelona jersey ever, and that is Antoine Griezmann and Neymar. I don't want them to play ever for Barcelona for what they literally offended and ridiculed Barcelona in public, and I think it's just not a thing that you can do to the club. You cannot laugh at the club and then expect it to get signed. So that for one. I think Marcus Rashford, I think he's the number one option right now. That's the thing I see the most viable, and I think it would be a fantastic signing as well. It just would be a different signing and we'll play slightly different. I think that there's also someone that it's been linked, but it's also been put under the roof, and I would like to see a lot more minutes of him next season, maybe, if we're to loan him to another club. And that is Alexander Isak, the loanee from Borussia Dortmund that's playing right now in Willem II in the Eredivisie. And he's been so good this season. His numbers are really good. I think he's averaging a goal per game. His movement looks very nice. I've seen him play a bit, and his movement looks really nice. His expected goals are according to the amount of goals that he's scoring, sort of thereabout. His link-up play looks very, very well. His movement seems to be very well. He seems to be a good, smart player to link up with other players. And I think that with a lot of more development and how young he is, after Luis Suarez, he will be the player that would most suit Barcelona if we're gonna keep Luis Suarez for the long-term project. Because if we can have Luis Suarez for the next 2 seasons, I think after that Alexander Isak will still be around 22, 23 years old, and that would be a prime time to get him to develop and get him to the first team. With that said, again, Luka Jovic would be absolutely fantastic if he signed for Barcelona. I think he's gonna be a real good striker if he has his mind focused and everything is according to plan. If everything goes well, he should be one of the best strikers in the world. But I don't think this is the last we're gonna hear from Luka Jovic until at least a couple of weeks, in my opinion. I could be wrong. He could be officially announced tomorrow or the day after tomorrow or something. And I don't know. At the end of the day, anything can happen. But it's just weird to me that he's going to Real Madrid for 60 million for a 6-year deal. And that's all I have to say for the moment being. Leave me your comments in the comment section below. Do you think Luka Jovic is going to sign for Real Madrid? Do you think he's going to sign for Barcelona? Or do you think he's going to sign for another club? Leave it in the comment section below. What other things do you want me to talk about later? I'll be making a video in the coming days about the mega project from Real Madrid and how could they possibly do it, because I don't see it possible. But again, I'll see you on the next one, Blaugranas.